So, I could just get the same yeah, so both times before we play, I think that was the great. So we played right at the beginning of the game. So that's just so we're here and oh here. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Test.
Test, test. Test.
Test, test, test.
Yeah, that's just how she had it.
Great.
Hey, buddy. How are you? Yeah, Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. Good to see you. Yeah. Here. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Good evening. Welcome to our 7th annual Cosmic Advent service. Can you believe we've been doing this now for 7 times? Yeah. So happy holiday to all of you, and I'm so glad that you're here. I want to begin with just a little bit of an introduction as to what this service is about. It all started as a quaint little part of a service we did in Louisville, Kentucky at the Clifton Unitarian Church where I was minister for many years. And it was actually started by our choir director and her husband Mark, Mark and Janet Causey. And Mark had been a former Catholic and really missed the traditional Advent service, and he was a wonderful classical guitarist. And so he had a traditional Advent service every Christmas Eve at Clifton Unitarian Church, and it was quite quaint. He would play the music on the guitar, and the lights were very subdued like they are now, and we had some traditional Advent readings, and a handful of us showed up, and it was just a nice, warm, special way to spend our holiday together. And when Mark and Janet moved away, we were kind of left wanting to continue something, but I'm not a former Catholic, and it was not within me to be able to conduct that kind of the service in the way that Mark did. And so I created this cosmic Advent service, so much more to my tradition, to our tradition, I think, of rather than sort of honoring the advent of one person into life, that we honor the advent of the cosmos itself and of all lives as being very extraordinary. So this is a service that utilizes some traditional Christmas hymns, Advent hymns, right out of our own Unitarian Universalist hymnal, as well as readings from traditions around the world, so that we can honor the fact that all people, all lives, all traditions are included in the wonder and extraordinary advent of life and of existence. So that's what this service is about, is really honoring the beauty and miracle of life and of the birth of each individual. We were also very fortunate today because, even though the sort of ritual stays the same each year, we get to have different music and different readers and different participants each year. So I hope you will look at your order of service to look at the wonderful lineup of talent we have today, but also wanted to especially say, because their names are not listed in the order of service, those who are going to be our readers, it just so happens to be that we, even though we're kind of isolated and far away from a lot of places here in Spokane, Washington, believe it or not, we have 4 seminary students in our congregation. And I thought, what a wonderful way to introduce them and to honor the work they're doing by having them participate in our service this evening, because I don't know if we're ever going to have that chance again. So all of you know Dr. Isabel Call, or many of you do, I think. By the way, welcome to those who are visiting. I shouldn't just assume. I know there's some of you who are visiting for the first time, or maybe were here last year but aren't here very, very often. So welcome to all of you. I'm so glad you're here. And you may not know Dr. Isabel Call, but Isabel is also our ministerial intern this year, and we're very fortunate that she is. So she's going to help participate in our readings and also be our official candle lighter as we advent towards our cosmic candle. And Ariel Aronson Evers, is that right? Eves, thank you, sorry, who actually came here with Isabel, is going to also be participating in. So Isabel is a 4th-year student at Star King in Berkeley, and Ariel is a 3rd-year student at Star King. So we're very glad to have you here as well. And then for those who've not met Elliot Snyder, Elliot is a 1st-year student at my alma mater, Meadville Lombard Theological School in Chicago. So I'm so glad that you're here, and Elliot's actually from Spokane, so he's also here. And then a lot of you also know Elizabeth Wilhelm, who grew up in this church, and although she has officially finished her work just a short time ago, I thought that we should really snatch her up and honor the work she's done and honor her presence here with us. So Elizabeth just completed her spiritual direction certification at the Chaplaincy Institute, also in Berkeley, California. So I really am so glad to have what to me is a very special service, because we get to have each of you here participating and introduce you to the congregation and them to you. This is probably a service that is a little more subdued and contemplative than a lot of the services we do around here. So I'd like you to take just a quick look at the front of your order of service, and you're going to see the names of many participants. And on some of these folks, you're going to want to applaud, I'm sure. But just in case it's a more contemplative piece and maybe it's not appropriate to applaud, why don't we give everybody a round of applause right now for all the work they've done for putting into this. Thank you. So we begin with our first movement, Darkness and Silence. And we begin here because as precious a gift as sight and sound are to all of us, those senses that help us put our world in some sort of rational order, all of us, like the universe itself, began in darkness and silence. And if, as so many religions instruct, it is necessary to return now and again to our source, then it is not to our sense of order that we must return, but to this chaos of darkness and silence. In the Hebrew Scriptures, this primordial chaos is described as a formless void. The ancient Egyptians deified it as the goddess Nun, or Nu, similar to the Babylonian goddess Tiamat, a sea monster, a gigantic whirlpool ready to swallow up everything. Even light itself cannot escape this voracious black hole, the womb of creation. The word chaos itself comes from the Greeks and refers to the original state of existence from which all creation sprang. It literally means empty space. But as physicists are now telling us, empty space, chaos, is not as empty as it appears. We now know that the universe is comprised mostly of dark matter and of dark energy, and at the core of every galaxy exists a gigantic black hole, too dense for stars and even their light to escape. And even if we could manage to create true emptiness, void even of all subatomic particles, even invisible particles of light, cosmologist Brian Swimme tells us that something incredible happens. Even when there are no atoms and no elementary particles and no protons and no photons, suddenly elementary particles will emerge. In short, he says, being itself arises out of a field of fecund emptiness. Today's physicists sound a lot like yesterday's mystics. Mystics like Meister Eckhart, who asked, what does God do all day long? God gives birth. It is this homage to the creative power of the dark that mystics like St. John of the Cross are able to write inspirational poems like The Dark Night of the Soul while suffering in prison, and that led to the contemplative life in Western religion through which monks and nuns live cloistered lives in complete silence, and to the practice of meditation in the East through which practitioners learn that sometimes the best way to get things done is by sitting still and keeping quiet. It is as Master Morihei Ueshiba instructed his Aikido students, return to that source and leave behind all self-centered thoughts, petty desires, and anger. Those who are possessed by nothing possess everything. So we light our first Advent candle in honor of darkness and quiet, from which all things and all beings are born.
Please join me in the responsive reading in your program. I'll read the first part, and then you can follow. In the beginning, when God created the heavens and the earth was formless, and darkness covered the face of the deep.
O night, O God, O night more loving than the dawn, O night that joined lover with beloved, beloved in the lover transformed.
Yet mystery and manifestations arise from the same source. This source is called darkness, darkness within darkness, the gateway to all understanding.
Cast off limiting thoughts and return to true emptiness. Stand in the midst of the void. This is the secret of the way of the warrior.
One method, one path into spiritual depth is to let go of our images, even our most cherished ones, including all video images and audio images, and to be sinking into stillness and silence.
So God blessed the seventh day and hallowed it, because on it God rested from all the work that had been done in creation.
Please access your gray hymnals and turn to page 251, or number 251, for Silent Night. And would you stand, please, in body or spirit? Silent night, holy night, all is calm, all is bright.
So a lot of the Christmas hymns are beautiful, beautiful melodies that we all know from our childhood, no matter what church we grew up in. And a lot of them we don't find that we appreciate the words now. And luckily, most of them are now in the public domain, and we can change them however we want. So this was a rewriting that my ex-husband and I did when we performed this together in our UU church about 20 years ago.
Oh, holy night, the stars are brightly shining. It is the night of a dear infant's birth. E'en though the world lay in sin and error pining, a child appears and the soul knows its worth. A thrill of hope, the weary world rejoices, for yonder breaks a new and glorious morn. Rise from your knees and join the angels' voices. O night divine, for every night a child is born, is a night divine. O night divine.
I invite you to open your hymnals to reading number 520 and join in on the italicized lines. So 520. O our mother, the earth, O our father, the sky, your children are we, and with tired backs we bring you the gifts you love. Then weave for us a garment of brightness. May the warp be the white light of morning. May the weft be the red light of evening. May the fringes be the falling rain. May the border be the standing rainbow. Thus weave for us a garment of brightness, that we may walk fittingly where birds sing, that we may walk fittingly where grass is green. O our mother, the earth, O our father, the sky.
Though we must always remember the mystery from which all creation springs, the nature of the phenomenal world is light. All beings come from the stars and must continue to nourish themselves with light in some form. The food that we consume is photonic energy that has been stored in the plants and creatures we eat. It was Einstein who first realized that matter and energy are the same, that E equals mc squared, and that energy, the energy that composes, it is energy that composes our bodies, is light. Physicist David Bohm once went so far as to say that all matter is frozen light. Theologian Matthew Fox says, "This is not just true of human flesh, but of all flesh. The oranges we eat and the tea we drink, the grasses and the animals, the birds and the stars are all slow-moving light. Matter is light. It is very special light." The Jewish mystical text, Zohar, means radiance, and it calls God's glory Shekinah, meaning brightness. And when we speak of spiritual awareness here in the West, we sometimes use the word enlightenment, and even refer to those who are unusually smart as bright and brilliant. So at this time of year, especially when we contemplate the birth of a unique child under the light of a special star, we should recall that every child, indeed every creature, every birth, is the birth of a radiant being, a light of the world. So we light our second Advent candle as a symbol of birth and light.
This next reading comes from is a myth of the Kagaba people of Colombia. The mother of our songs, the mother of all our seed, bore us in the beginning of things, and so she is the mother of all types of people, the mother of all nations. She is the mother of the thunder, the mother of the streams, the mother of the trees and all things. She is the mother of the worlds and of the older brother, the stone people. She is the mother of the fruits of the earth and of all things. She is the mother of our youngest brothers and the strangers. She is the mother of our dance paraphernalia, of all our temples, and she is the only mother we possess. She alone is the mother of the fire and the sun and the Milky Way. She is the mother of the rain and the only mother we possess. And she has left us a token in all temples, a token in the form of song and dances. She has no cult, and no prayers are really directed to her. But when the fields are sown and the priests chant their incantations, the people say, and then we think of the one and only mother of the growing things, of the mother of all things. One prayer was recorded. Our mother of the growing fields, our mother of the streams, will you have pity upon us? To our mother alone do we belong.
Please rise in body or spirit to sing number 225, O Come, Emmanuel.
We'll offer an adaptation of the Lord's Prayer with words by the Reverend Dr. Todd Eklof. O great mystery, whose name cannot be named, dwell among us and move within us, to create heaven here on earth. Give us just enough for today, and go easy on us, and help us go easy on others. Keep us out of harm's way, and away from bad company. Amen.
Please join me in responsive reading 532. I'll begin, and I invite you to respond in italics. The music of the spheres. Its rhythms are the equal, repeated seasons, the beating of the heart.
Day and night, the going and returning of migratory birds.
The cycles of stars and corn.
The most of them folds by day, folds of them by night.
Rhythms of moon and tide, one single rhythm in planets, atoms, sea.
And apples that ripen and fall, and in the mind of beauty.
Melody, accord, arpeggios, the harp of the universe, unity behind apparent multiplicity.
That is music.
Traditional Christmas song that I've always heard as a celebration. So we're going to sing it that way. 6, 7, 8. It came upon a midnight clear, that glorious song of old, from angels bending near the earth to touch their harps of gold. Peace on the earth, goodwill to men, from heaven's own gracious King. The world in solemn stillness lay to hear the angels sing. Through the cloven skies they come with peaceful wings unfurled, and still their heavenly music floats over all the weary world. Above
Thank you. Truly enlightened beings know that life is a rare and precious gift and strive to receive this gift with celebration and thanksgiving. It seems so odd then that many in the world use religion as an excuse to squander this brief gift that each of us has but for a short lifetime. In the West, too many of us have succumbed to the fall redemption theology that says ours is a fallen world and every being is born corrupted by sin. And many others misinterpret Eastern thought to mean that we ought to emotionally detach ourselves from the world and assume that everything in this life is but an illusion. Certainly there is much beyond this life, and much in this life we will never comprehend, but this season reminds us to celebrate the incarnation of our being, the manifestation of light in the flesh. The cry of the infant in the manger reflects the cry of the realist who strives to take advantage of the here and the now, the only moment any of us can truly be sure of. As Thomas Aquinas once said, religion is supreme thankfulness or gratitude, and every ingratitude is a sin. The word religion means to join, to reconnect. It's not about separating ourselves from the world, but fully stepping into it, into our bodies, inhabiting and fully living the one life that is ours. It means embracing the first law of creation. It is good. So we light our third Advent candle with celebration and gratitude. This is a time in our service where I invite those who would like to come forward. We have 2 microphones and some votive candles, and we're going to have Ariel and Elizabeth are going to come forward and help you light those. But if you want to come down and light one in silence, or light one and then name the joy that you're celebrating this season, you're welcome to do so. I always like to model what that looks like, so I am, of course, always grateful for the same thing these days, that my daughter is home for the holidays to be with us. And even though our son can't be home with us this year, to know that he is well and that he is happy. Please.
This is for my joy for being with my daughter and her partner this year for Christmas.
It must be the year of the woman for my daughter as well.
Sometimes in Christmas, there's always a spirit.
For my mom, for my little Harley.
Family.
For the peace and joy that I've found by finding my community here at the UU Church.
For health and recovery.
Our
sons Patrick and Scott.
For family, blood, and otherwise.
So everlastingly grateful to be here with you all tonight.
That Bob came through a successful surgery and our daughter Annie is home for Christmas.
That Gordon is off to a wonderful recovery and that our daughter Meredith is coming home for Christmas.
Children, Mia and Lucy and Shannon and Rena.
For the new community I'm finding here in Spokane.
And Matthew's memory.
For being home for the holidays.
For all the things we know together.
My joy is having my son here in Spokane and my friend visiting from California. My joy is being able to come up here and say so.
So my joy is just everything that went right this year and during the holidays.
For new beginnings at various levels.
For my mother, my sisters, and my daughters.
For my daughter and son-in-law and grandsons.
This next reading is a poem by Rumi. Give yourself a kiss. If you live in China, don't look somewhere else, in Tibet or Mongolia. If you want to hold the beautiful one, hold yourself to yourself. When you kiss the beloved, touch your own lips with your own fingers. The beauty of every woman and every man is your own beauty. The confusion of your hair obscures that sometimes. An artist comes to paint you and stands with his mouth open. Your love reveals your beauty, but all covering would disappear if only for a moment your holding back would sit before your generosity and ask, "Sir, who are you?" At that, the lover's life-changing face gives you a wink.
So please stand in body or spirit to sing Joy to the World, number 245. Joy to the world, the word is come. Let earth with praises ring. Let every heart prepare a room, and heaven and nature sing, and heaven and nature sing, and heaven and nature sing. Joy to the earth, now gladness reigns. Let hearts and souls employ, for fields and floods, rocks, hills and plains. Repeat the sounding joy, repeat the sounding joy, repeat the sounding joy. No more let sins and sorrows grow, nor thorns infest the ground. Let righteousness its glory show, as far as love is found, as far as love is found, as far as love is found.
Please join me in the unison prayer printed in your program. Lord, make me an instrument of your peace. Where there is hatred, let me sow love. Where there is injury, pardon. Where there is doubt, faith. Where there is despair, hope. Where there is darkness, light. Where there is sadness, joy. O divine Master, grant that I may not so much seek to be consoled as to console, to be understood as to understand, to be loved as to love. For it is in giving that we receive, it is in pardoning that we are pardoned, and it is in dying that we are born to eternal life.
Christmas Day, their old familiar carols play. Wild and sweet, the words repeat of peace on earth, goodwill to men. Peace on earth, goodwill to men. I said, for hate is strong and mocks the song of peace on earth, goodwill to men. Peace on earth, goodwill to men. Then peal the bells more loud and deep. Love is not dead and does not sleep. For wrong shall fail and right prevail, with peace on earth, goodwill to men. Peace on earth, goodwill to men. Then ringing, singing on its way, the world revolved from night to day. A voice, a chime, a chant sublime, with peace on earth, goodwill to men. Peace on earth, goodwill to men. I heard the bells on Christmas Day, their old familiar carols played. Wild and sweet the words repeat of peace on earth, goodwill to men. Peace on earth, goodwill. Peace on earth, goodwill to men.
Thank you. Truly living life in the here and the now is never a selfish act. The law of the universe is attraction. Again, as cosmologist Brian Swim explains, at this cosmic scale, the basic dynamism of the universe is the attraction of each galaxy for every other galaxy. Nothing in all science has been established and studied with greater attention and detail than this primary attraction of each part of the universe for every other part. We might also accurately call this attraction the universe has for itself passion. At its deepest and most basic level, the universe is comprised of some sort of irrepressible, passionate love that Rumi refers to when he says, "Give yourself a kiss." If you want to hold the beautiful one, hold yourself to yourself. Swim, referring to this passion as allurement, insists that if we are going to think about love in its cosmic dimension, we must start with the universe as a whole. We must begin with the attraction that permeates the entire macrostructure. I'm speaking precisely of the basic binding energy found everywhere in reality. Once again, we see that science and religion are now meeting. Science is in agreement with Jesus, who taught us that God is love. Likewise, it is not enough for us to simply love our lives if we are not live our lives if we are not incarnating love, incarnating the allurement and attraction that is everywhere in our universe. So we light our fourth Advent candle in honor of wisdom and of love.
The following reading is from Proverbs. The Lord created me at the beginning of his work, and the first of his acts of long ago. Ages ago I was set up at the first, before the beginning of the earth. When there were no depths, I was brought forth. When there were no springs abounding with water, before the mountains had been shaped, before the hills, I was brought forth. When he had not yet made earth and fields, or the world's first bits of soil. When he established the heavens, I was there. When he drew a circle on the face of the deep. When he made firm the skies above, when he established the fountains of the deep. When he assigned to the sea its limit, so that the waters might not transgress his command. When he marked out the foundations of the earth, then I was beside him, like a master worker, and I was daily his delight, rejoicing before him always, rejoicing in his inhabited world, and delighting in the human race.
Please rise in body and spirit to sing We Three Kings of Orient Are, number 259.
Following yonder star.
following poem was written by Matty Stepanek, who died in 2004 of a rare form of muscular dystrophy when he was only 13. During his short life, he became a best-selling poet, peace activist, and motivational speaker. His hero and friend, President Jimmy Carter, called him the most extraordinary person whom I have ever known. Pinch of peace. Dear God, tonight my prayers are for the world. We have to stop this fighting. We have to stop the wars. People need to lay down their weapons and find peace in their hearts. People need to stop arguing and hating. People need to notice the good things. People need to remember you, God. Maybe you could come and shoot a little bow and arrow pinch into all the angry people's hearts, God. Then they would feel you again, and then they would realize what they are doing and how horrible the killing and hating and fighting is. And they might even begin to pray. Then they could reach in and pull out the little bow and arrow pinch out of their hearts and feel good and be loving and living people again. And then the world would be at peace, and the children would be safe, and the people would be happy, and we could all say thank you together. Amen.
Thank you. Finally, as we contemplate the darkness and silence from which we come, the light and radiance through which we live, in celebration and gratitude, incarnating the love that is our true nature and the nature of the universe, it must not be forgotten that love is a verb, not a noun. Love must be lived out, and the way that it is best expressed is through justice. Where there is no justice, there is no love. For as Meister Eckhart understood, compassion means justice. Matthew Fox proclaims, "The prophet interferes with the injustice, the unnecessary pain that reigns on the earth and its creatures when humans neglect justice and compassion." Justice and compassion, again, are one and the same. Justice is love lived out. The prophet, Fox goes on to say, is a mystic in action. So the advent toward life is a march toward justice. And justice, depicted as a blind goddess holding scales by the Greeks, reflects the harmonious balance that sustains the entire universe, our cosmos. Thus, it is justice, the incarnation of love, that is both the Alpha and the Omega of our faith. It is the beginning and the end of our cosmic advent. So we light our cosmic candle in the name of transformation and wholeness, in the name of equality and equity and justice for all. I'm going to invite you to read aloud with me the final sentence in your order of service by Bishop Oscar Romero. When we leave Mass, we ought to go out the way Moses descended Mount Sinai, with his face shining, with his heart brave and strong to face the world's difficulties.
Please rise as you're willing and able to sing hymn number 231, Angels We Have Heard on High.
Thank you. You all were so reserved. I know you tried very hard to be, but right now I want to thank Michelina and Tyree, Deb Jackson, Marianne Winifred, Larissa Cox, Kelly LaGruda, Peggy Eklof, and all of our readers for helping us have an excellent Christmas Eve Cosmic Advent service. And before you leave, if you want to taste a little bit of love and light incarnated, we should also thank Stephanie Sampson, who brought some wonderful cookies and other treats back there for you to enjoy a few moments of fellowship after the service. So Stephanie, thank you so much. Yes. And I would finally just remind you that our Advent service, our Advent candles, our cosmic candle, are really just reflections of each one of you. You are your own Advent candle. You are an adventurer on your own Advent, and as such, you are a light of the world. That's what this service is about. I hope that's what this holiday is about, and I hope that's what your next year is about. So, thank you for being here. Go in peace.